Welcome back to Who Died Today USA channel. In the past few days, we have received somber news about the passing of extraordinary talents. Today's episode is dedicated to honoring their memory. Additionally, we will recap the stars we have recently lost. Before we begin, we kindly ask for your support. If this video or the legacies of these remarkable individuals have touched your life, please consider giving this video a thumbs up as a sign of respect and remembrance. Thank you. Valerie Mahaffey, the Emmy-winning actress whose grace and quiet brilliance lit up both stage and screen, passed away on May 30th, 2025, at the age of 71, following a courageous journey with cancer. Her 5-decade career was defined by elegance, depth, and a rare ability to touch hearts in every role she embraced. Born in Indonesia and raised across continents, including Nigeria, England, and Texas, Valerie brought a global perspective and gentle strength to her performances. From early Broadway successes like Dracula and Play Memory to her Emmy-winning portrayal of Eve in Northern Exposure, she captivated audiences with intelligence and sensitivity. Valerie's versatility shone in everything she touched. Whether she was making us laugh in Young Sheldon and Dead to Me, stirring emotion in French Exit, or lending quiet nuance to Desperate Housewives, her presence was always unforgettable. She balanced dramatic poise with comedic precision, bringing layered humanity to both leading and supporting roles. Behind her screen success was a woman deeply devoted to family. Her husband, Joseph Kell, and daughter Alice remember her not only as a gifted actress, but as the soul of their lives, a woman full of warmth, humility, and an enduring spark of creativity. Valerie Mahaffey's life reminds us that greatness can be soft-spoken. She didn't seek the spotlight. Instead, she filled it with subtle brilliance. Her legacy lives on in the performances she left behind and the countless lives she quietly touched. In honoring Valerie, we remember a life lived with dignity, artistry, and deep affection, for her craft and for the people who journeyed beside her. Jiggly Caliente, the beloved performer and advocate who brought vibrancy and authenticity to the stage, passed away on April 27, 2025, at the age of 44. Born Bianca Castro, she rose to prominence through her unforgettable appearances on RuPaul's Drag Race Season 4 and All Stars Season 6, before taking her seat as a judge on Drag Race Philippines. With every performance, Jiggly empowered, entertained, and embraced communities in ways that transcended borders. A proud Filipina and New Yorker, Jiggly immigrated to the U.S. 20 years ago with a heart full of dreams. She quickly became a fan favorite, first as a contestant who blended humor with vulnerability, and later as a mentor and role model who never lost her sense of joy or purpose. Her work extended beyond television, with a recurring role in the acclaimed series Pose, where she brought compassion and dignity to a story deeply rooted in resilience and representation. In the final chapter of her life, Jiggly faced a severe infection with extraordinary courage. Her family shared that, despite the physical challenges, she remained surrounded by love and was never without the warmth of close friends and loved ones. The RuPaul's Drag Race family and fans around the world mourn her passing, while celebrating the light she brought to the world. Her legacy of laughter, strength, and fierce advocacy will continue to uplift those who saw themselves reflected in her fearless artistry. In the words of those closest to her, though her physical presence is gone, the joy she shared and the space she helped create for so many will remain forever. Jiggly Caliente was, and will always be, forever fabulous. Breaking news. Today, we turn our hearts toward a man whose voice has narrated the stories of rural roads, hometown dreams, and simple truths for over 4 decades. Alan Jackson, the towering figure of American country music, is more than just a voice on the radio. He is the soul of a genre that cherishes authenticity. But behind the hits and accolades lies a personal battle, one that has challenged his every step, even as he continued to sing through it. How does a legend keep performing when his own body begins to resist the rhythm? What happens when the man known for never backing down faces a quiet, relentless health challenge? Share your thoughts below as we journey through the legacy, the trials, and the unmatched spirit of Alan Jackson. Born on October 17, 1958, in the small town of Newnan, Georgia, Alan Jackson came from humble beginnings. Raised in a modest home, he grew up listening to gospel music and hymns in church, surrounded by the values of faith, family, and hard work. These early experiences planted the seeds of storytelling that would one day make him a household name. Jackson did not arrive in Nashville with a silver spoon or a famous last name. Before music took center stage in his life, he worked in a mailroom and at a shoe store, often writing songs in his spare time, dreaming of a stage that seemed impossibly far away. His big break came in 1989 when he signed with Arista Nashville. From that moment, country music would never sound quite the same. With the release of his debut album Here in the Real World in 1990, Alan Jackson struck a chord that felt both fresh and deeply familiar. Songs like the title track and Chasin' That Neon Rainbow captured the everyday emotions of ordinary Americans, heartbreak, pride, hope, in a way that was both poetic and plain-spoken. The 1990s were a golden era for Jackson. Albums like Don't Rock the Jukebox, A Lot About Livin', and A Little Bout Love, and Who I Am filled the airwaves with hits that would become timeless. Chattahoochee, Gone Country, Livin' on Love. He became a bridge between tradition and modernity, keeping the heart of honky-tonk alive while speaking to a new generation. His music never chased trends. Instead, it reminded people why country music matters. Jackson's songwriting was always central to his identity. Unlike many of his contemporaries, he wrote most of his own material. The lyrics were not just clever turns of phrase, they were lived experiences. Songs about his father, about love and loss, about small-town life resonated because they felt real. And perhaps nothing was more real than his heart-wrenching response to national tragedy. Where Were You When the World Stopped Turning? A song written in the aftermath of September 11th, 2001. With raw vulnerability, Jackson offered a quiet reflection when the world needed comfort, and the nation responded with gratitude. But even as the spotlight glowed, challenges mounted. Jackson often found himself at odds with the industry's evolving direction. As country music leaned toward a more polished, pop-infused sound, Jackson stood firm in his commitment to traditionalism. He openly criticized award shows, protested radio programming that overlooked legends like George Jones, and even took artistic stands during televised performances. There were moments when record executives questioned whether he was too country for the times, but he never compromised. For Alan Jackson, success was never about popularity. It was about principle. Amidst these artistic battles, an unseen struggle began brewing, one that would reshape the final chapters of his career. In September 2021, Alan Jackson revealed that he had been living for over a decade with Charcot-Marie Tooth disease, CMT, a genetic neurological disorder that gradually affects muscle strength and coordination. Though not widely known, the condition slowly robbed him of balance, making walking and standing increasingly difficult. For an artist whose presence on stage had always felt so steady, so grounded, this invisible affliction brought quiet turmoil. "I have this neuropathy and neurological disease," Jackson shared in an emotional interview. "It is genetic, and I inherited it from my daddy. There is no cure, but it has been affecting me for years." The revelation struck a chord with fans who had admired his strength and now saw a new kind of courage unfolding. Despite these physical limitations, Alan Jackson did not retreat from the stage. Instead, he launched a farewell tour titled Last Call, One More for the Road, spanning several years and dozens of cities. Every show became a poignant celebration and a goodbye. In Milwaukee, on May 17, 2025, he delivered what would be his final show of the tour. Fans gathered not just to hear the music, but to honor the man who had given so much of himself, even when it cost him greatly. What made these performances even more moving was the presence of his wife, Denise. High school sweethearts turned life partners. Alan and Denise had weathered fame, family, and now illness together. During a concert in Texas, Denise joined him on stage for a slow dance as he sang. The moment, tender, unscripted, unforgettable, captured everything Alan Jackson stands for: grace, humility, and love without spectacle. In the midst of announcing his retirement from full-scale touring, Jackson also shared plans for a final hometown celebration. In the summer of 2026, he will headline one last grand concert in Nashville, a city that embraced his voice when it was still unknown. This performance will not just mark the end of a career, it will be a tribute to a man who stayed true from the first note to the last. Throughout all of this, Alan Jackson has remained far from controversy. In an era where personal scandals often eclipse artistic achievements, Jackson's life has been defined by integrity. He has never used his platform to inflame or divide. Instead, he has spoken through melody and message, letting his songs tell the stories that needed telling. Today, Jackson continues to live quietly with his family, focusing on health, reflection, and the joy of watching his daughters build lives of their own. He may no longer be the constant presence on the charts or the road warrior he once was, but his influence echoes through every young country artist who dares to sing about faith, family, and home with honesty. In a music world often shaped by image, Alan Jackson's enduring legacy is one of authenticity. He proved that you do not need to chase fads to stay relevant, and you do not need to speak loudly to be heard clearly. His songs, from Drive for Daddy Jean to Remember When, will live on, not only because they are great country music, but because they are great human music. So as we look back on his life and career, let us not focus on what Alan Jackson can no longer do, but on what he has already done. He has given us a soundtrack to live by. He has shown us that real strength is not in denying our struggles, but in continuing to walk, even when the road gets rough. What are your favorite Alan Jackson songs or memories? Leave a comment and join us in honoring this remarkable man. If his story has touched your heart, please like this video and subscribe for more inspiring tributes to the icons who shaped our world through music, love, and unshakable truth. Thank you, Alan Jackson, for every verse, every chorus, and every honest note. Your journey may be changing course, but your legacy rides on, steady as a song. Joe Don Baker was the kind of actor who didn't just play strong men, he embodied them. With a presence as bold as his Texas roots, Baker became a symbol of rugged justice and Southern grit. From his breakout role in Walking Tall to unforgettable turns in Charlie Varick, The Natural, and multiple James Bond films, his career spanned decades and genres, always grounded in authenticity. Born in Groesbeck, Texas in 1936, Baker's path began far from the limelight. He served in the U.S. Army, studied business, and later found his calling at the Actors Studio in New York. His early years in Hollywood were filled with TV appearances and supporting roles until Walking Tall made him a household name. As Buford Pusser, a sheriff standing against corruption, Baker captured the spirit of a generation yearning for justice. The film became a surprise box office hit, and Baker's performance was hailed for its quiet strength and raw conviction. He wasn't afraid to explore complexity, playing both heroes and villains in equal measure. Whether as a corrupt lawman in Fletch or a charismatic CIA agent in Goldeneye, he brought depth and subtlety to every role. His work in British television's Edge of Darkness even earned him a BAFTA nomination. Joe Don Baker passed peacefully on May 7, 2025, at the age of 89. Though he never had children, he is lovingly remembered by family in Groesbeck and by countless fans who admired his strength on screen. His legacy lives on in every scene where courage meets conviction, reminding us that sometimes the quietest heroes leave the most lasting echoes. Alf Clausen was the quiet force behind some of the most joyful and emotional moments in modern television. For nearly 3 decades, his music was the unseen narrator of The Simpsons, bringing warmth, whimsy, and depth to one of America's most iconic shows. With 2 Emmy Awards and over 30 nominations, Clausen's talent resonated far beyond the recording booth. His melodies became part of our cultural memory. Born in Minneapolis and raised in North Dakota, Alf's early fascination with orchestral music led him from piano lessons to French horn, and eventually to the Berklee College of Music. He began his career as a copyist and arranger, and soon became musical director for television variety shows like Donnie and Marie. But it was in Moonlighting where he made his mark as a television composer, blending jazz, drama, and elegance in a way few had before. When The Simpsons came calling in 1990, Alf at first hesitated, but creator Matt Groening convinced him that this wasn't just animation. It was storytelling through emotion, and Alf delivered. He scored nearly 600 episodes using live orchestration, creating unforgettable songs like We Put the Spring in Springfield and See My Vest. Even after his departure in 2017, Clausen's musical legacy remained embedded in the heart of the show and in the hearts of those who grew up with it. He passed away on May 30th, 2025, at the age of 84, after living with a long-term illness. Alf Clausen leaves behind a legacy not only of notes and chords, but of moments. Moments where music made us laugh, feel, and remember. His work will continue to echo wherever stories are told with heart. Joanne Gilbert's life was a melody, composed in stages, performed with elegance, and remembered with warmth. She passed away in Los Angeles on April 16, 2025, at the age of 92, leaving behind a legacy filled with song, screen, and stage. Her final years were quiet, but her past was anything but. In her prime, Joanne's voice echoed through legendary nightclubs, from the Waldorf Astoria in New York to the glimmering lights of Las Vegas. She dazzled Hollywood in red garters, captivated audiences in The Great Man and The High Cost of Loving, and graced television screens on Perry Mason, The Outer Limits, and Ben Casey. Her journey began in Chicago in 1932, born into a home already humming with music. Her father, Ray Gilbert, was an Oscar-winning lyricist whose songs brought joy to millions. Joanne inherited that spirit. After a modeling stint in New York, she found her true spotlight singing at the Mocambo in Hollywood. That debut, impromptu costume change and all, was the beginning of a career built on charm, courage, and character. A 7-year contract with Paramount followed, and Joanne made a memorable film debut in Houdini, 1953. Her performances weren't just entertaining, they were luminous, expressive, a blend of old Hollywood glamour and personal flair. Joanne Gilbert wasn't just a daughter of a famous songwriter. She was a performer in her own right, a woman of ambition and artistry. Her legacy is not only measured in screen credits or songs sung, but in the elegance she carried through it all. And as the curtain gently falls, the applause continues, for a life well lived and a voice that will long be remembered. Mike Berry lived his life in harmony, on stage, on screen, and in the hearts of those who knew his voice. Known to millions for his role as the charming Mr. Spooner in the beloved British sitcom, Are You Being Served? Mike was more than a television favorite. He was a true icon of British music and performance. Born with a gift for melody, Mike first rose to fame in the 1960s, sharing the stage with legends like the Beatles and the Rolling Stones. His songs, including Don't You Think It's Time and Tribute to Buddy Holly, resonated with a generation, and in 1980, his rendition of The Sunshine of Your Smile climbed the British charts, reaffirming his enduring appeal. But Mike never let fame distance him from his audience. Even in his later years, he continued to perform live. His final show in February 2025 at the Half Moon in London was a sold-out celebration of his timeless charm. He had plans for more concerts this summer, a testament to his passion and energy that never dimmed. On April 11, 2025, Mike passed away peacefully at home, surrounded by those who loved him. His manager, Peter Stockton, described him as an exceptional musician with a huge heart, and friends remembered him for his kindness, humor, and joy. With a career spanning over 6 decades, Mike Berry leaves behind a songbook of memories. His music, his laughter, and his warm spirit will continue to echo on vinyl, on screen, and in the memories of fans who grew up with his voice as the soundtrack to their lives. Linsey Alexander, a beloved figure in Chicago's blues scene, was born in Holly Springs, Mississippi in 1942. From humble beginnings in a sharecropping family, his journey carried him from the cotton fields of the South to the bustling clubs of Chicago, where his music would find a home and his name would become legend. Though he arrived in Chicago as a teenager in 1959, it wasn't until decades later that he fully stepped into the spotlight. For years, Linsey balanced his love of music with a career in public service, including a long tenure with the Chicago Police Department. But it was after retiring, following an injury in the line of duty, that he began a remarkable second act. At nearly 60, Linsey embraced the blues full-time, bringing a lifetime of experience to every note he played. His performances were electric, his humor sharp, and his presence magnetic. He captivated audiences at Chicago's iconic clubs, Kingston Mines, Rosa's Lounge, BLUES, and earned a place in the Chicago Blues Hall of Fame in 2014. His recordings with Delmark Records, including Been There Done That and Live at Rosa's, showcased not only his raw vocal power, but his talent as a songwriter who could blend blues, funk, and soul with ease. Linsey passed away peacefully on February 22, 2025, at the age of 82. He leaves behind a legacy built on resilience, authenticity, and joy, a bluesman who proved that it's never too late to chase your calling. In every riff and every lyric, Linsey told a story of where he came from, what he endured, and the spirit he never lost. His music remains a testament to a life lived with soul. Bill Fay was a quiet voice in a noisy world, a songwriter who never chased fame but left a lasting imprint on those who found his music. Born in London in 1943, Bill began his musical journey in college, where he first sat down at a piano and began crafting songs that would one day touch listeners across generations. His first 2 albums, Bill Fay, 1970, and Time of the Last Persecution, 1971, were poetic and deeply spiritual, but they arrived ahead of their time. Though overlooked upon release, they planted seeds that would bloom decades later. Bill's music all but disappeared from public view, and for many years, so did he. But Bill Fay never stopped writing. In the 1990s, his early work was rediscovered, and soon artists like Jeff Tweedy of Wilco and Nick Cave were calling him one of the greats. This recognition sparked a quiet resurgence. In 2012, at the age of 69, Bill returned with Life is People, his first studio album in over 40 years. It was a triumphant return, an album full of grace and hope, with contributions from admirers who had waited a lifetime for his voice to return. He followed with Who is the Sender, 2015, and Countless Branches, 2020, each filled with the same spiritual depth that had always defined his work. Though he rarely performed live, his songs traveled far and wide, covered by artists from the war on drugs to Pavement. On February 22, 2025, Bill passed away peacefully at the age of 81. True to form, he was working on a new album just a month earlier. Bill Fay's legacy is one of quiet resilience, a reminder that gentle voices can echo the longest. Danny Cox lived with music in his soul and justice in his heart. Born in Cincinnati, Ohio, he found his home and voice in Kansas City, where he became a pillar of the community, musically, spiritually, and socially. His passing at age 82, following a medical procedure, marked the end of a remarkable journey, but his spirit still resonates through every chord and chorus he ever shared. Danny first came to Kansas City in the 1960s, in the heat of the civil rights movement, and encountered racial discrimination firsthand. Instead of turning away, he stayed and built a life that honored truth, resilience, and unity. With a voice as rich as the history he carried, Danny became a fixture at local venues like the Cowtown Ballroom and Vanguard Coffee House. He shared stages with legends like Ray Charles and Jefferson Starship, sold out Carnegie Hall 4 times, and performed children's theater and commercial jingles with equal heart. His music spanned folk, blues, gospel, and jazz, but it wasn't just the style that set him apart. It was the soul behind every note. Danny didn't imitate genres. He embodied them, blending Appalachian roots, gospel traditions, and civil rights convictions into a sound uniquely his own. He was a father of 10, a grandfather, and a mentor to generations. His gigs often felt like family reunions, filled with laughter, warmth, and the rhythm of shared joy. He gave his energy to the world, his son Nate said, and what a gift that energy was. Danny Cox's legacy is not just in the songs he sang, but in the people he inspired to live boldly, love deeply, and lift their voices. His music lives on, in Kansas City and beyond, as a celebration of a life fully lived. John Brenkus was a pioneer of sports storytelling, someone who made science feel exhilarating and human achievement even more awe-inspiring. Best known as the creator and host of Sports Science, he brought cutting-edge technology and heartfelt curiosity to sports fans everywhere, helping us see our favorite athletes not just as performers, but as marvels of motion, strength, and precision. Born with a boundless sense of wonder, John dedicated his career to bridging the gap between athletics and science. Through Sports Science, he explained the unexplainable, from the force behind an NFL tackle to the finesse of a golf swing, winning 6 Emmy Awards and captivating viewers around the world. Beyond his on-screen accomplishments, John also founded Base Productions and Brinks.tv, where he continued to share stories that elevated and educated. His work wasn't just informative, it inspired. He showed that understanding how something works could deepen our appreciation for its beauty. In 2023, John courageously opened up about personal challenges, shedding light on the importance of emotional well-being and the quiet struggles that often go unseen. He spoke with honesty, grace, and the hope that his story could help others. On May 31, 2025, John passed away at the age of 54 after a long battle with depression. His loss is deeply felt by colleagues, fans, and loved ones alike. John Brenkus leaves behind a legacy defined by curiosity, innovation, and compassion. In every slow-motion replay, in every awe-filled question about how the human body defies limits, his voice will echo. His life reminds us that science can inspire, and that behind every great idea is a heart full of purpose. Barile was more than a guitarist. He was a force that shaped the sound and soul of a generation. As co-founder of the legendary Boston hardcore band SSD, Al brought a bold vision and unwavering passion to music. His work defined a movement, one that stood for integrity, authenticity, and defiance. Born in Lynn, Massachusetts, Al's life took a transformative turn after he discovered the Ramones. Inspired, he picked up a guitar and formed SSD while still a student at Northeastern University. The band quickly became a cornerstone of the hardcore punk scene in the early 80s, sharing space with the likes of Minor Threat and 7 Seconds. With albums like The Kids Will Have Their Say and Get It Away, SSD delivered blistering performances and lyrics that challenged the status quo. But Al's impact went beyond the music. Embracing a straight-edge lifestyle, he stood as a beacon for youth seeking a different path, one grounded in clarity, purpose, and resilience. His fierce on-stage presence, often mid-air with guitar in hand, inspired generations of fans. Off-stage, he was thoughtful and deeply committed to community, friendship, and the values he sang about. Later in life, Al pursued engineering and continued to make music with his band Gauge. Though SSD had long disbanded, their influence never faded. In 2025, SSD was inducted into the New England Music Hall of Fame, a fitting tribute to their lasting legacy. Al passed away peacefully in Boston after a battle with cancer, surrounded by love. He leaves behind a movement he helped define, a legacy of honesty and power, and a community forever changed by his voice. His spirit will live on in every chord that shouts for truth. Carole D'Andrea, a radiant talent of stage and screen, lived a life filled with grace, art, and unwavering devotion to her craft and family. Born in Altoona, Pennsylvania in 1937, Carole turned down a scholarship at just 16 to follow her dream in New York after the tragic loss of her parents. That bold choice led her to Broadway, where she originated the role of Velma in the groundbreaking 1957 production of West Side Story, a role she later reprised in the iconic 1961 film. Carole was one of only 6 actors from the original cast to appear in both versions of the beloved musical. Her performance was full of heart and fire, capturing the spirit of a generation in transition. Her collaboration with Jerome Robbins became a cornerstone of her early success, and she continued to win admiration from audiences and peers alike. Though she stepped away from the spotlight to raise her 3 daughters, Andrea, Robin, and Hillary, Carole never left the world of performance. She became a beloved acting teacher, first in New York and later in Hollywood, mentoring countless students with the same passion and wisdom that marked her performances. Even in her final days, she was still teaching, still giving. Carole passed away peacefully at home on March 11, 2025, from heart failure. Remarkably, this day also marked her 44th anniversary of sobriety, a milestone she often said was the day she truly began her life anew. Her legacy lives on through her family, her students, and the timeless beauty of West Side Story. Carole D'Andrea's life reminds us that behind every enduring performance is a soul filled with courage, compassion, and grace. Michael McStay, a gentleman of the stage and screen, graced the world of British television and film with quiet strength and enduring charm. Born in 1932, McStay's career unfolded with a steady brilliance, most memorably through his role as Sergeant Perryman in No Hiding Place and as Derek Moberly in Doctor Who, a role that connected him deeply with generations of devoted fans. On May 11, 2025, Michael passed peacefully in his sleep following a family Sunday lunch. He was 92. The cause was heart failure, as confirmed by his family. His son, Darius McStay, movingly shared, "As an actor, he really did make a good exit, and of course left us wanting more." Michael's screen journey spanned decades, from dramas like The Avengers and EastEnders to films like Robbery, 1967, and The Stick-Up, 1977. Yet, beyond the credits, He was remembered as a talented writer, a devoted family man, and a performer who truly cherished his craft. Reflecting on his career in a 2024 podcast, he said with affection, "The fans of Doctor Who, they're not just fans, they're friends." Though he was once considered for the role of James Bond, McStay's lasting legacy lies not in what could have been, but in the authenticity and heart he brought to every role he did play. His final appearance in Coronation Street in 2011 offered a fitting close to a remarkable career. Michael McStay is survived by his beloved wife, actress Jennifer Clulow, and their 2 sons. In both his life and art, Michael exemplified dignity, warmth, and dedication, a legacy that continues to resonate in the hearts of those who watched, worked with, and loved him. Latest news. Joan Collins, a living legend of style, strength, and staying power in the face of time. What keeps her shining at 91? Joan Collins has always been more than a television star. She is an emblem of grace, strength, and resilience in a world that rarely gives women the permission to age on their own terms. At 91 years old, she continues to defy expectations with her sharp wit, commanding presence, and unwavering passion for storytelling. What drives this iconic woman to keep thriving, while many of her contemporaries have long stepped out of the spotlight? Born on May 23, 1933, in London, England, Joan Henrietta Collins stepped into the world of entertainment in the early 1950s and never looked back. Her early film career saw her take on roles in classic British and Hollywood productions such as Land of the Pharaohs and The Girl in the Red Velvet Swing. But it was not until she embraced television that her place in pop culture was truly sealed. In 1981, Joan took on the role of Alexis Carrington Colby in the primetime American soap opera Dynasty. With her sharp tongue, dazzling fashion, and formidable presence, Alexis became one of the most iconic television characters of the 1980s. Collins did not just play the role, she owned it. The character catapulted her to international fame and earned her a Golden Globe Award in 1983, along with legions of fans who admired her portrayal of unapologetic female power. But Joan's story is not only one of success. It is also a tale of resilience and hard-won survival in one of the most ruthless industries in the world. From a young age, Joan encountered the dark side of Hollywood. She has spoken openly about facing inappropriate behavior and coercive environments in casting rooms during her early years. While some actresses of the time felt pressured into silence, Joan refused to compromise. Her defiance cost her roles, slowed her early rise, and marked her as difficult in an industry dominated by men. But those very battles laid the foundation for a career built on integrity and strength. She has also experienced the personal costs of fame. Married 5 times, Collins has weathered heartbreak and public scrutiny, including the media circus surrounding her high-profile relationships and divorces. Yet, she always emerged with grace, refusing to be defined by anyone else's narrative. Her tenacity was further tested by professional droughts. After the height of Dynasty, roles became scarce. Hollywood, as it often does, began turning away from older actresses. But instead of fading, Joan transformed. She picked up the pen and became a best-selling author, writing novels and memoirs that combined glamour with bold honesty. Her books offered a voice to mature women and reminded readers that style and wisdom are not mutually exclusive. What is most inspiring is how she has turned the passage of time into a strength. While others feared aging, Joan embraced it with signature flair. She often says, "Age is just a number," and her lifestyle reflects this ethos. Even now, she appears at galas and premieres, dressed to the nines, with a presence that still draws camera flashes and admiration. How many 91-year-olds do you know who still star in films? Joan is currently taking on the challenging role of Wallace Simpson in the upcoming biopic The Bitter End. It is a demanding part, portraying the complex final years of a controversial historical figure, and yet Joan calls it a thrill. Her energy, dedication, and command of the screen remind us all that artistry has no expiration date. Has Joan's example changed how you view aging? What would you pursue if age were not a barrier? Throughout her journey, Joan has not been immune to the struggles that come with a life in the spotlight. Early in her career, she stood up against inappropriate advances from producers and casting agents, even at the risk of losing roles. She refused to compromise her integrity, even when the price was high. That same strength of character is what continues to define her public image. She has also endured the labels that powerful women often face: difficult, demanding, too bold. But in reality, Collins was simply ahead of her time, a woman who refused to be diminished or defined by others. She called out double standards long before it was fashionable and proved that a woman can be glamorous, outspoken, and in control of her destiny. In terms of health, Joan Collins has been blessed with remarkable vitality. She has not publicly battled any major health conditions in recent years, and her continued energy is often attributed to a combination of moderation, movement, and mindset. She swears by drinking plenty of water, maintaining good skincare, and staying mentally engaged. Her physical health has always been linked to discipline. Even in her later years, she has maintained an active lifestyle that includes walking, swimming, and light exercise. Mentally, she remains sharp, reading voraciously, and participating in interviews, charity events, and writing projects. Her commitment to staying active is not about vanity, but about vitality. In interviews, she often jokes about her age, saying she forgets how old she is until someone reminds her. At events like the 2024 Emmy Awards, she turned heads not just for attending, but for outshining people decades younger with her timeless elegance. Her secret? Stay active, laugh often, and never apologize for taking up space, she says. Joan Collins is also a vocal critic of modern celebrity culture, particularly the obsession with social media and cosmetic procedures. She champions natural beauty, confidence, and self-worth. Her critique is not rooted in bitterness, but in wisdom. She often says, "Real glamour is not about what you put on, it is about what you carry within." In an era that celebrates reinvention, Joan Collins is the ultimate proof that reinvention can also mean staying true to who you are. She is not chasing trends, she is setting them. She is not following youth, she is redefining maturity. And through it all, she continues to inspire millions around the world. As we look to the future, one thing remains clear: Joan Collins is not slowing down. She remains a symbol of resilience, sophistication, and staying power. Whether it is through a dazzling new role, a thought-provoking book, or a commanding public appearance, Joan reminds us all that aging is not a retreat from life. It is an opportunity to live it even more boldly. So what do you think? Has Joan Collins's journey changed how you think about strength and longevity? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and if her story inspired you, please like this video and subscribe for more profiles of extraordinary lives that continue to shine, no matter the number of candles on the cake. Thank you, Dame Joan, for the legacy you continue to build, and for showing the world that brilliance does not fade. It only glows stronger with time.